And we can learn from process theology, a 20th century system of thought that speaks deeply to me. In process theology, God is not envisioned as eternal and unchanging, but rather as everlasting change. God non-coercively lures or urges all creatures into greater levels of complexity and capacity for enjoyment through evolution and other means. God does not know the outcome of the processes at work in the universe, but working in responsive relationship with the creatures co-creates the world. In process theology, God is like a choreographer who participates in the dance but does not know how the dance will come out. And finally, if God is responsive to us, then our deeds and our joys and our sorrows affect and enrich deity itself. We affect and enrich the universe, and in some sense live eternally through all of being. And we can learn from a physicist like Alan Lightman, who says, if against our wishes and hopes we are stuck with mortality, does mortality grant a beauty and grandeur all its own? Even though we struggle and howl against the brief flash of our lives, might we find something majestic in that brevity? Could there be a preciousness and value to existence stemming from the very fact of its temporary duration? I think of the night-blooming cereus, a plant that looks like a leathery weed most of the year, but for one night each summer, its flower opens to reveal silky white petals that encircle yellow, lace-like threads, and another whole flower, like a tiny sea anemone, lies within the outer flower. By morning, the flower has shriveled, one night of the year, as delicate and fleeting as a life in the universe. One of the marks of maturity in theology, as in life, is to be able to hold ambiguity and paradox in a gentle place in the heart. Our rational mind hits its limits, both in imagining our own end and in imagining eternity. One of the gifts of our faith is the encouragement to be with our despair as well as with our joy, to encompass paradox and ambiguity. While I become literally nauseated at the idea of an unchangeable, omniscient God, I feel my heart come to life when I contemplate the image of God as co-creator, changing, evolving, suffering with the creatures, retaining in the great mind all the moments of every creature's existence. When fear of ending arises within us, let us sit quietly and non-violently with that frightened part of ourself, not pushing the fear away, but cradling it, loving it, and giving it space to transform, as it eventually will, into compassion and peace, letting our fear transform into an acceptance beyond the power of our rational minds to understand, letting our finitude be without trying to figure it out or solve it, and also detaching like a strip of Velcro from the impossible demands we make of the universe, demands that give us suffering and pain. The pencil writing in this old diary is starting to fade. It's ridiculous to hold on to it. I can't freeze time by making some marks on paper or taking a photograph. Maybe on my birthday, which happens to be tomorrow, maybe I'll burn it in the backyard. Or maybe I'll hang on to it after all. Those biographers might be very grateful indeed that I kept it, and I sure don't want to let them down. May you be richly blessed. Amen.